Don't get confused. It's really going to the whole content. Okay. Okay. So let me first give you a little bit of introduction to the pre-Hispanic cultures. Those were very vertical societies, no democracy, totally structured. And the top was the king or the emperor, who was absolutely powerful. Then the next way were the priests. The priests, they really have all the religious ministers have a tremendous power, a little bit like what happened in Spain during the Inquisition time. Then you have the army and the nobility, and then below all the. So in these people also, most of the pre-Hispanic cultures, especially the big ones, were very, very religious. And religious was the central part. Extremely religious people in their view. Now, in order to, to have this religion practice, they needed four. They needed astronomy, check the calendars, when the gods will appear or not, mathematics to make the calculations, material science to make objects for the gods and of course, architecture. These are the 4 points that people use. Now, let me tell you about the first cultures that are important there. The first important culture that we know about it happens in around near Mexico City now. It's called Teotihuacan, and it started the year 1 after Common Era and ended all around 500. Was a tremendous civilization. Then they disappeared, and then there were other civilizations that appeared, including the Mayas. Okay, the Mayas were older. Really. They started in the 50 before Christ, but really after Teotihuacan disappeared, they become really a big empire. Okay? And in fact, they are still Maya culture now. Now, Teotihuacan, the first culture, it's an amazing place. It's not a real name. That name was given by the Aztecs when they came almost 1,000 years later, and they call it the place of the gods. This is a location near Mexico City. You have huge pyramids, bigger than the Egyptian. This is the Sun Pyramid, and then the Moon Pyramid. This is a whole palace, a whole city, and that was the ceremonial city. Now, we don't know too much about these people. They disappeared. There were some projects when I was director in Mexico, I give a big grant to archaeologists. Find out that they found a lot of things, like for instance, the gods. They have some human sacrifices, and then the culture apparently propagated to all of them. By the way, my friends in the UNAM, the nuclear physicists, thought that they can study the pyramid was a tomb or not, was solid or was something. So they use muons. Muons are part of the cosmic radiation. We're getting muons. Muons is about half of the cosmic radiation. Is the same kind of electron, but much more massive and much more faster. And they travel through rock. So they installed the moon, the detectors, and apparently it's totally soft. And because the archaeologist says, so you shouldn't waste the money because we know that was a ceremonial. Not know. Okay. The next culture, well, the Olmecas start to be, they use these monoliths. And then you can see still in the museum, Mexico City, they have several. Those was also big culture. But the most relevant probably was the Maya. Okay? The Maya culture, very intriguing. They have many cities. They moved from city to city. They, for some reason, they disappeared. The cities were established. We don't know why. There is a modern interpretation that it was ecology. they exhausted the land. I'm not sure about it. Okay? But the Mayas, if you go, for instance, this is a place called Chichen Itza, which is near Cancun. If you go to Cancun, you can take one day trip to Chichen Itza, and they have an impressive pyramids. And let me just show you. These people were obsessed with astronomy. And let me just show you one thing there. Let me see if I have, okay. One of the most important gods was called Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl was snake. It was a human that was converted to snake. It was going to come back as a human. And this is a representation of Quetzalcoatl. Now, let me show you what's the thing. This video, I hope it works. Okay, what I have to do? Sorry. Okay. I get that. How can I get rid of this? Got it. Okay. Why do I have to do to dismiss or what? Start. Which one? The pop-up. I don't see the pop-up here. This is this one. Okay. No. Oh. Okay. Now, this is the pyramid of Quetzalcoatl of the Mayas. Exactly the first day of the spring at 12 o'clock p.m. Look what it happens. Okay. What happens is that if you look at please look at the stairs. And what happens is the shadow of Quetzalcoatl will get here. You see it's coming out? Yes. It's coming out. Exactly, that's now the shadow of Quetzalcoatl coming. And then basically then covers the concept. Now this is let me just yes.
You see it one more time?
Yes, please. Yes, please. That's what I was doing. You don't want to see this. Okay, here we go.
So this is the vernal equinox, the spring.
The spring equinox. And remember, not all of the years is the same. We have to know so. So you see by the way, people go there and cheer with the secrets and poetry. Interesting. So they have to know exactly the time, which is very amazing. And by the way, you know, in their mathematics, what I have to do to get out of this. Okay. You know, they knew the zero. They have negative numbers, and they have a system based in 20, not in 10. But they have very developed mathematics all the time. Okay. Now, they have a very interesting game, which is kind of a basketball, but with a vertical hook. Okay, and you cannot touch the ball. The ball was made of latex. And the only thing you can touch is with the hips, any part of your body except your hands. There are 2 teams of 5, and then they play, and then the one that gets 1 goal gets a win. Okay? Again, if you go to Cancun, in one of the mathematics part, they play the juego de pelota. Now, it was a problem. The winner team was sacrificed. So I can imagine someone saying, please don't score. Okay, but anyway. So then the other cultures, the thing changed when the Mayans appeared, and then 3 other important cultures appeared. One in Mexico City, the Aztecs, then the Incas in Peru, and then the Moche culture that goes from Colombia to Chile. That's 3 relevant cultures. So let's talk first. I will talk about the Aztecs only. You know, the Aztecs we're talking now about 200 years before the Spanish came, 100 years. They found a city in the central part of the lake. It was in Mexico City, and there was an island, and they started to build up the island. The city was made channels. At the time the Spanish arrived, it has 700,000 people living. It was probably the biggest city in the world. London at that time only had 100,000. Okay. And then they have a system of channels, and they use like a Venice, they transport it. And that was the central part, was the main pyramid, and the ceremonial part. Was incredible. They were an empire. They were an empire. They conquered almost all Mexico. Many people don't like them, imperialistic people. But see, this was the first society to provide education for all people. There was a university called Puli at different levels, and every citizen had to go. The whole city was white because they used lime, all the buildings were lime, and this is taken from the descriptions of the Spanish. Okay? They have a public postal service, and they have a health service for all the people. Now, you are talking about when nothing like that would be good. And they have a health service that includes, of course, herbalism, some surgery, and some cure. Now, they have the first zoo that was produced in the American continent. Montezuma had a huge zoo that Cortez described as fantastic. And they were floating islands, as the architecture, and the food. They basically fish, bird, insects, fruits, and things. There was no cows in America, there was no pork in America, there was no land. Everything was introduced. So they have a diet which was very, very short in fact. Now, the main protein came from insects. So they eat a lot of insects, and still if you go to Mexico, special places where you can buy insects which are really nice. Try different type of insects. There is one that is the eggs of the ants. It's called scamoles. That's a delicatessen. I like you to try it. But then my son, this is my son Miguel. He was born in the United States. He's an American. Doesn't know the color. Then he went to visit one part of me, and his mother asked him to try crickets, a form of crickets called chapo. So let me just show you this. Okay. This they are selling on the street. Those are the crickets. Just chili and lemon. It was not too convincing, but let me tell you, they were really. By the way, the other thing is that they practice human sacrifice. Human sacrifices come from, the bad times, but the Aztecs really took it to a top limit. I mean, the Mayas did it in a much less scale. For instance, the big god was called Huitzilopochtli, and it was November 28th, and they need to know the calendar to what the gods. And what happens is that they assume that the cycle of calendar for these people was 52 years. And they assume that after 52 years, the gods will decide where to leave the work of the story. So what they did in the day 52, and again they need to handle something. There were sacrifices on the pyramid. One time they sacrificed all the warriors that were captured in the wars of the Aztecs. And then people were killed, they stripped the heart, threw it on the stairs. Then the people will, by the way, take pieces of meat and eat. And the way it's called in pozoles, and you go to a Mexican restaurant, you still can have pozole. Not for human meat, but the meat. And by the way, we should not be critical. This, but I'm a Catholic. And every time that I take communion, because I am eating the body of the flesh. So it's the same concept, because taking the body of a warrior will give us stuff. But then they was really very every god needed sacrifices, and that's something. Okay. When the Spanish came, there was a big fight, but at the beginning was not fight. They came 1 month before the year 50. And the Emperor Moctezuma was convinced that something bad was going to happen. People started to die from smallpox in enormous. And then at the beginning, he had tolerated. However, at the end, there was a rebellion, took the Spanish out. But then the Spanish, what they did is bring all the populations that were enemies of the Aztecs and attacked Tenochtitlan, and finally they conquered it. That battle was street by street, house by house, because people of the Aztecs defended themselves, but they were very decimated by it. The Spanish have guns, they have horses, and they have dogs. They use never of that has been used. Also, the problem was a limited concept. The Aztecs, when they made a war, what they wanted is to take prisoners. So the people who won the war is the one that take more prisoners. Alive, so they can sacrifice. The Spanish, of course, the concept is the one that kill more people. So when in the battles, one was trying to get prisoners, the other one was killed. At the end, they completely ravaged. The Constitution was ravaged, and they rebuilt the city, which is now Mexico City. And this is the central part of Mexico City now, where the cathedral is when the bigger temple of Aztecs was. And by the way, after the conquest, immediately the Indians were made slaves. And they put to work, and they were decimated. In fact, the tragedy is that at the turn of the century, about 10 million people died, the indigenous. Probably the total population was no more than 20 million, about half. And then another thing that happens is, of course, the Indians were dying, and I'm sorry I use the Indian. This word comes from the stupidity of Columbus that became Hispanic to India, but anyway. So the tragedy was, well, the Franciscans that were the missionaries started to fight for the Indians. And then finally they convinced the Pope that the Pope declared that the Indians have soul, therefore are subjects of salvation, so cannot be. And that was great. At that moment, the treatment of the Indians changed. They were not very good economically, but these were not. The tragedy of that is that the result of this decree of the Pope is that the Spanish Portuguese brought to the Spanish America more than 10 million black slaves. And that was a correlated tragedy. And then the blacks, black people. And by the way, this is the calendar of the Aztecs with the secrets. You can see it in Mexico City. Okay, now let's go to material science. The archaeologists discovered some Maya sites. As I told you, they abandoned the cities, so the cities were covered by rainforest. All the Mayas in the Yucatan Peninsula, the rainforest. And the paints, everything was covered. You imagine humidity, insects, all kinds of corrosion. But then when they saw the paintings had one color in particular, which is probably this green, or which changed between green and blue, who was still, and they were very surprised. They call it Maya blue. They were trying to understand what. Imagine that you go to a store, painting store, said, please give me a paint, but I needed that last 1,000 years in the worst condition, rain, they will laugh because of technology of polymers doesn't work too much. Okay, the Mayas did. Now, how do they do? Well, by the way, one archaeologist, who's my friend, asked me, you received, I said when I was in the NAM, you receive a new high resolution microscope. He told me, look, Miguel, would you like to see the Maya blue in the microscope, see what I can find out? So he gave me some samples. We went to a place called Cacaxla, where you have this very nice parrot. It's amazing. So we did electron microscopy. And I decided to send it to science. It was accepted. They gave me the cover. I was a tremendous impact. In fact, the BBC and all the news was reported. The BBC brought a crew to make a special program about this. They were in Mexico. So it was unexpected because really was not even my name was the topic. And by the way, one advice for all of you. One of the things of this paper was the title. I choose the right title. It says Maya blue and ancient and structural. If you choose a title like X-ray study of zeolite in conditions, the reader will be boring. Probably will be to sleep after reading. Always you have to have an attractive title. So then the title was for what was the idea of the Maya blue? Well, basically the Maya blue was made, according to the archaeologists, by clay that they picked up in Yucatan and a molecule called indigo. They mix the indigo with the clay, they heat it, and they produce the Maya. That's what they're doing. And then we did a little bit of electron microscopy, and we found that besides another very similar clay called sepiolite, was used. Now, this is a clay that is made silicon oxide units, silica units, which are stacked, but then they leave channels. All these structures leave channels. And between the channels, you can have water, which is called zeolitic water. Now, the idea there is some kind of reaction. Basically, this material is made by magnesium or aluminum, oxygen, and zinc. Nothing. Well, plus water. Okay. What I found is that was not true. The material contained nanoparticles of metal. And that was the key. And that reminds me from, in the medieval times, in Europe, they had all these stained glass in the church with colors, very amazing. And the way they did it is by putting gold nanoparticles in the glass. That idea, by the way, came from China. The Chinese produce nanoparticles. They use it for eating. They produce and they eat it. In fact, if you are interested, I have this bottle of my daughter in China brought me this wine with gold. It doesn't have nanoparticles, you have big pieces of gold. That's more or less the idea of the Chinese. Just pass it. You can drink something else. Now, the thing is that the Chinese call that technique chemia. The technique to produce, they use citric acid for fruits. And so the technique was called chemia. The Arabs, who were the big explorers at the time, picked up the technique. And they add the adjective al content for the Arab, means it, and it's called alchemy. And it was called alchemy. And then the alchemy was first was to produce this, then became thing like to produce gold, all these things, you know. And at the end become this good thing for games. But now we have, okay, now in that technique I have here, you can pass it along. I'm sure you have seen this in the technology, not technology books. But if I change, I made a solution of gold and platinum. And I change the size, I change the color. And I can have red gold, blue gold, green gold, and even yellow. Yeah, please pass it around. So that is very well established. So the size of the particles, and this is what this is called me scattering, that produces one. So what we found is that we did some microanalysis. This is the Maya blue. And then when you do the microanalysis, of course, the plaster that they use the calcium there. But then you can see the iron here, like nanoparticles. The size of this. And then there is also aluminum nanoparticles. So apparently the aluminum from the zeolite and the magnesium gets combined and somehow, and then but you have nanoparticles. Now, and then where the nanoparticles come from? Well, what happens is that the clay minerals have impurity. They have iron, they have many. So when they hit the clay, the particles somehow form. Because probably the impurities for and chemical reaction. We repeated that, bringing material from the Yucatan Peninsula, and we could reproduce the Maya blue. So, and then you can see the particles go in the pores of the cell. Now, at that time, unfortunately, I did this in the 90s. I did not have a aberration corrected microscope that can be worked at low resolution. Now, you can obtain images, atomic images of the zeolite, for instance, on the plate, like that, the one in the top. Perfectly. So, that can be done with the microscope. So I'm going to call my friend, my colleague, Ahmed, by a book. I will try to have a solution. Continue this. Occur to me. Okay. Now, by the way, I'm sure there are married men here. Don't raise your hand. Let me tell you. This is a shop, a paint shop I saw in Mexico City. And the guy had a very interesting announcement there. He said, if you're a married man, you are coming here to buy color paint, I need a written authorization of the wife. Otherwise, I will not sell it because too many returns. So, okay. And everybody understands that. Okay. Now, let me now move to metallurgy. And really, the metallurgy was more prominent in South, especially the Mochi. First, there was very extended metallurgy in the Hispanic area. I'm sorry, it's a mistake there. It was part of the reliefs, okay, to have this on. Then there was a lot of mining, there was a lot of mines, all kinds of metals that were present in South America, and they have mines everywhere. In fact, there are objects which have platinum. So people assume there should be a platinum mine near Colombia. Nobody has discovered that it should be a platinum. Now they have melting furnaces. And people have discovered things of the melting furnaces. They can really take things to very high temperature to produce melting of metals and all that. Also, they use ceramic heating and so on. And they have what is called gilding techniques. And gilding is if I take a sheet of ball. Metal. They put in another metal and try to put it together. That's called building. It's after the but also they have electrochemical methods used. So they have corrosive materials, acid, obviously plants. And unfortunately, you know what happens is that the Spanish destroy all the records. So that's what is in the Mayas. There was only one book surviving in Europe, but then we lost a lot of information. That was the problem. Okay. Now let me mention one of the most common metal alloys was what is called tumbaga, which by the way was also developed in Europe and Asia. That alloy is made of gold, copper, and silver. Okay? But they made a special alloy to only gold, copper. The first one is called tumbaga, and the second one is called carbonate. And the reason they did that, the Spanish demanded gold. They don't produce gold, they have it. So they invented this technique that copper with a little bit of silver for the weight. And then make the alloy with a little bit of gold. And then make abrasion of the sulfur until the gold comes out. So the pure sulfur will be gold, but the solid will be really. So the Spanish saw this is a big piece of gold. They were very happy when they went to Spain. They discovered it was gold. Now the word they use for that is cambalache. If you are fans of tango, there is a very famous Argentinian tango called cambalache. In Spanish mean when I try to fool you, when I give you something with it. And so I call this alloys for survival. Okay, alloys for survival. And then you can see that depending upon the use, they change the amount of gold, they change the amount. So they have a way to determine the mass. Because it's an alloy, you cannot just calculate. You have to have a way to measure the mass. And then depending on the region, and there has been many archaeologists studies. Okay, now they have other techniques. Of course, they have casting. They have cold working. They have coating too, especially in some silver. So they have a lot of techniques to make metal rich. Okay. For instance, electrochemical replacement plating is a very sophisticated. And they have okay. Now, in the gilding, what you do, the pleasure gilding, you remove the metals which are not gold by some acid, and then you start giving the only the gold in the sun. So that's a very sophisticated technique. It's not trivial. Now, these were all the alloys that archaeologists have discovered. Now, archaeologists are always equipped with small X-ray fluorescent spectrometers, so they immediately check the composition. Look, we have copper, arsenic, nickel, copper, arsenic, copper, tin, copper, arsenic, platinum, iron, copper, lead. Then, of course, this, which was also called Corinthian bronze. No? It was very famous and it was used in the times of the Corinthians as a bonus. They produced the Corinthians. All these alloys, and that has been confirmed by the archaeologists taking pieces of it. Okay. And then the platinum, of course, if the archaeology does a digging, finds a piece of metal, what they call the archaeological conference tell them that it's a real fact. And they do dating by carbon 14. And of course, they get the age on it. Oh, okay, now. Okay. Also, they develop a lot of painting. They make complexes of metals with latex and with ceramic materials, just like Maya blue. And they produce a lot of bases that are really competitive with the Greek base of the Greeks. Okay, and they have a lot of metal ceramic methods. Now, very curiously, and it's one of the things you difficult to understand, they never use metals for work. No culture. In fact, they all use stones or anything, but never. It's amazing that never. And I think that was the result of isolation. The same way that they didn't have the wheel. Because I can imagine the wheel was not a trivial invention. And the guy who invented many thousands of years ago, obviously that was in contact with Europe and Asia are together, very close. So the technology started to work. America was isolated, and they missed that thing. And also, at the end, the Aztecs were defeated by the technology because first by technology was the fact that other people did not like them. They didn't have any defense about mortal. They didn't have cannons, they didn't have horses, and also. So that was really a big shock. Okay. Now, just to thanks, and if there is any questions, I'll give. And I, by the way, as a lot of things coming on about the technology, I just started. Just to do it. Any questions? Yes, please.
So, these rise impurities and defects in the material. So, just wondering, like, if there was a way that they could like choose the materials that they were working with to like withstand having a lot of impurities. Or...
I guess in the case of the minerals, the impurities of type of mineral come in batches. So most likely they learn by experience that taking the clay from that place will produce Maya gold, and the other places will not by experience. So obviously, they don't have an idea. So, but definitely, I guess it was just. Well, let me tell you, the Mayas, then the Mayas masters actually had all of their culture. So they would really have not only the one. And by the way, the Maya blue can be made green, can be made blue, or even yellow. For the red, they use iron, and other things, but they really mastered the technique. So it's probably they knew that particular mine would.
So that Maya blue, where did you actually get the sample? Where did they take the sample from?
Okay, in all the ruins, of course, you have this fantastic picture of the Quetzal I showed you. They will never talk. And what happens in every room, you will find a painting that was destroyed. You will find a piece. Okay, and that's something they do. Of course, they have to take the risk. It's really reminding you, but there is always pieces that you find. But of course, you cannot use the stock.
I'm really intrigued at their work. Where any idea where they got that?
Well, let me tell you, the archaeologists that reported that there were two groups, different groups. They said, look, there is no way, because of the archaeological context, this material was there. It was not put by the Spanish, if you could say the Spanish. So they demonstrated by archaeology concept. So they started to look for the mine. It was in Colombia, but they haven't been able to. Because most of the problem is that part is very close to the Amazon. Okay, and there Colombia has a border to the Amazon, so it's very difficult to explore. And also, you cannot destroy the Amazon, but probably it's the only thing. But then it's practical. Okay. Yes.
They know what it's supposed to. They got it.
Oh, yes, well, they have mines. You know, remember, in the mines, mostly you don't get the fluid. You get a salt or you get a combination, so you have to purify them. And they need it. The second, once they have the metal, they use different techniques depending on the ore. You go to Colombia, Mexico City, and Colombia is called the World Museum. Fantastic museum about that. You see all the objects of world. They always were for religious, ornamental, but they always represent gods. So definitely they have all this technique very well. Please.
Just a couple comments, about, wheel, the Maya blue and the metallurgy. Metallurgy, based on archaeological evidence, it's earlier in South America. And it looks like it was introduced up the Pacific coast. The Mixteca people in Oaxaca were some of the best, metal producers of metal objects in Mesoamerica. But it's earlier in South America. And we know there's contact between South America and Mesoamerica. In fact, when the Spanish started to explore the Pacific coast, they encountered merchants moving up and down that coast. So that's
Right.
like,
Well, I got it, you are a archaeologist.
Pardon?
You are an archaeologist?
Yeah, I live in my area.
Yeah, very good, sir. So, of course, you know that the Mayas and the Aztecs they have a very broad trade with all the, it was a huge trade.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, I agree with those. I am not an expert, of course, I'm not working. So, but definitely the metallurgy started with something.
Then in terms of the Maya blue question that you asked, there's one colleague of mine, he's almost, in fact, he's either almost retired or just retired. Guy by the name of Dean Arnold has spent about 30 years researching Maya blue. And there are mines that have now been identified in Western Yucatan, the state of Yucatan, and also in Campeche, Eastern Campeche. Where they mine the Palagorskite, which is the main clay base that's mixed with the indigo. In fact, the blue color comes from indigo. It's a plant-based source, and then some of the other minerals that are added to it. And there's a couple of really interesting articles, recently one in Science and one in an article journal that addresses this in my when they dredge this cenote, some archaeologists worked in this cenote at Chichen Itza, they found big clumps of Maya blue. And we know that it was exported from the Yucatan to the south and to the north. So really,
Yes, well, the picture I was in my science paper was from Jakarta, which is the only specific important. Well, let me make a
so
comment.
one other quick comment. The wheeled Mesoamericans did show up again. In fact, we have wheeled toys that have been found in Veracruz, also in the Yucatan and in the southern parts of the Maya area. But the problem is that unlike Western Europeans or Asians that had beasts of burden, Mesoamericans did not. So the wheel was really impractical. And when you work in the tropics, even with four-wheel drives today, you get stuck. And so if you don't have any beasts of burden, it's best to just use the wheel like Mesoamericans did for toys. So they have wheel toys.
Well, in fact, let me make a comment on that. You know, Montezuma has some magnificent thing. He used a different dress every day in the program. And he liked fish from the ocean. The closest ocean is about 250 miles from Mexico City. So they have the fish catch in the early morning. They have rollers. Everyone running 8 kilometers. I don't know, 20 kilometers. And then the fish arrive simultaneously. Exactly. And Bernal de Castillo mentioned that when Montezuma invited these guys to dinner, it has 300 dishes that were. So obviously they don't. Anyway, so it was, but let me tell about the Maya. Because look, as a physicist, we know that the color nanoparticles are. Okay. The evidence by the electron microscope, the Maya blowing that nanoparticles. Now, I agree that probably the main color comes from the indigo, but combined with. If you take only indigo and clay, let's say I take a Paligo sky that I buy from a provider which is very pure Paligo sky, and put the indigo, doesn't. I mean, it's very unstable. So you need the nanoparticle. That is and now you know I got out of the field. It was not my mind. And then but I'm thinking now that we know take that. It should be a reaction between the individual. Yeah, and it should be all kinds of, maybe you should give some suggestions from chemist's point of view.
From an invitation.
Yes, it's an invitation. You're the only alchemist.
Well, the permanence of the pigments is the remarkable thing that it's millennia and they're not bleaching perception. But the other thing is, if you look at those stained glass windows at the famous cathedral, and they say, oh, it's gold and sometimes it's copper and silver. There must be a lot of metal in those stained glass windows. And in fact, and this is really the important thing about the so-called nanoparticles or about plasmonic localized plasmon structures, as we call it in physics terms today, is the amount of material is really nothing. It's really zero, you know, in terms of mass quantity in there. And so how can they be such powerful pigments that in such minute quantities, it's a visual thing? And since these are mostly physics students in the audience, I just want to say, you know, the one who worked this out mathematically, physically, was named they just say me, Gustav Mia. And he worked this out. One of my colleague friends from physicists from Vanderbilt and formerly, of course, Alvin Sunshine, he told us this is the most cited paper of the entire 20th century. And that's not true anymore, but in the late 90s, and I can guarantee you nobody could read this paper, not just because it's in German, it was all mathematics. It was working out solutions to the Maxwell equations, to electrodynamics, for light scattering. And it just shows up in so many things. And so, so he gave a quantitative explanation for this. So now coming to the question, what's the relation between indigo and other natural pigments and the nano? Is that when they're in proximity, the nanoparticles through this plasmonic enhancement, they enhance the incident plane waves, electromagnetic plane waves in this spectrum. They enhance it by, it's almost like localized light, right? It's a quantum photonic, localize the light there. And so that magnifies the natural absorbing or light scattering power of the pigment. Millions, sometimes billions of times over what they would intrinsically.
Sometimes 10 to the 10.
Surface enhance.
Raman
and all these other interactions are enhanced. So it's the conjunction, the physical proximity, even if there's not a chemical bond, or what would be recognized as a chemical bond between the nanoparticle and the indigo pigment molecule. They work synergistically to enhance the effect millions of times over. And that's why you need these great analytical techniques to sort it out. It's such a small secret ingredient.
Well, in fact, I was planning to bring some place from Yucatan and have the undergrad students to use my room. That's really very fun. Let me just say one thing regarding what Dr. Weddings. Look, in this solution, That's a very, very few amount. If I made every particle of the size of a popcorn, I can fill the biggest football stadium, 100 with popcorn. So I will put popcorn and popcorn. So just to tell you how really few material is. So the material is not. This is, okay, so
That's more.
Yes.
Use fire.
the combination. And you need the clay has these channels for the pigment to go in and for the particles, because they probably are part of the structure. When you heat, they move around and tend to coalesce, and they start stocking. And probably they react when they get close to the limit. So you need the clay scaffolding, that's the clay is in scaffolding. And basically, as the doctor said, it's Paligorskite, but also is mixed with ciprolite. You have the two. But most is Paligorskite. Which way were the same family, please, Paligorskite. Please, Philip.
So we see the use of metals in their artwork and so many other. So was there any specific reason why it is different from using metals in their weaponry?
I don't know. Probably you will know, but know the Aztecs use stone called obsidian. Was very sharp, but not the sons. Do you have any comment?
Could you repeat the question?
And why they don't use metals for arms or for weapons?
You know, it's for some reason not domestic Americans, but here the South Americans in Peru, or in Colombia, really mined any other metal other than mostly copper, well, not copper, silver, gold, and they did produce copper objects, so copper obviously is available, and not too difficult to work. And they were like a step from really being able to produce bronze, right, which would have allowed them to then make more durable weapons. Gold's too soft, silver was too soft, and just they never made that next step. They mostly use them for trinkets. Most of the gold objects that we find are in jewelry, like little bells, especially. The first report we have of Maya smelting stuff or making objects out of copper comes from Columbus. On his fourth voyage in 1502, he comes across some merchants just off the coast of Honduras and Guatemala and Belize there. And they had the little smelting equipment with them. And they were trading all down the coast, but they were making copper objects. But no,
That's very interesting. That's there. By the way, one thing I like to comment is after the battle of the system was completely devastated. Then the Spanish came with the right idea of they say, well, we're in a lake, we have all this rubble, so let's dissipate the lake, and they build Mexico City on top of it. So the central part of Mexico is on the lake. So when there is an earthquake, you can see the earthquake is 8, magnitude 8 or 7 outside, usually outside. In the downtown, 9. Because it gets amplified by the water, the waves, bounce back and produce the so that's one of the problems of the Spanish. But earthquakes make us very rusty. Yes, please.
And then how the if there's the effects in the structure, I wanted or that physical effect is effects or reflection light. There's an effect in the structure. I want to affect how the color will be and how the risk is for long. If the effects could have an effect. Could you respond to that?
Well, you simplify the what happens from the not seeing like you are seeing the reflection of the light in black. So the color is the way the material scatters. So basically, the effects have, for they have there's a crystal, they have a needle, definitely. So that's why, crystals with effects are not as transparent as this. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, that's what I was, I'm curious how the Maya blue does that, what it is. But, yes, it's not. Then when you take not change the radius, change the color, but that's what I was wondering.
The problem is that okay, we can use Maya blue the light, but the problem is we cannot study for 1,000 years. That's the problem. We have very long pieces, even for NIU studies. Okay. Okay. No, we have.
For gold solutions, the red visible particles, it looks like, is that the goal or is there something else in there?
No, it should be something else. No, there are nanometer particles. So,
Right, I didn't think
should
the
be
gold.
somewhere that came from something. No, they you can only see it with the electron. They are probably between 1 to 5 nanometers. So they're not even. Very good. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And very good. We are going to try to teach this course with material science leaders. So maybe you should help us and we could talk about it. Okay.
Are you here at NAU?
Yes, I am a chairman. Then I am in the business department.
I'm in anthropology.
Okay, Jaime es ¿hablas español?
Sí, hombre.
Tu último partido.
Es AWE.
Okay, te voy a buscar. Okay. Sorry about the Spanish.